Captain Marcus Rivera's hands are zip-tied behind his back as Warlord Kether's claws hover over the pulsing device. The bridge reeks of ozone and alien sweat, mixed with the acrid smell of burned circuitry from where the Dominion boarding party had blown through the bulkhead. Emergency lighting cast everything in hellish red, making the alien's chitinous exoskeleton gleam like fresh blood. "Your primitive bomb will kill us both human," Kether snarls, his 4 compound eyes fixed on the countdown display. 47 minutes, 23 seconds. The device itself was unremarkable, a brushed metal cylinder about the size of a coffee can, covered in what looked like organic veins that pulsed with bioluminescent light. To the aliens, it radiated an energy signature unlike anything in their databases. Marcus chuckles, blood trickling from his split lip where one of Kether's soldiers had struck him during the interrogation. The sound echoes strangely in the damaged bridge, almost musical against the backdrop of dying systems. "That's not a bomb, big guy. It's a birthday present." The alien's translator, a small device grafted directly into his skull, struggles with the colloquialism. Static crackles as it processes the phrase, finally settling on something that makes Kether's mandibles click in confusion. "Birthday. Celebration of emergence? You mock me in your final moments?" Marcus nods toward the main viewport, which shows the lush planet below Kepler 442b, designated as Agricultural World Theta 7 in Dominion records. A world that fed 3 billion Dominion citizens across 12 star systems. Rolling plains of purple grain stretched to the horizon, broken by geometric patterns of irrigation canals that gleamed like silver threads. Massive harvester ships, each the size of a city block, moved slowly across the surface like mechanical whales. "See, today marks exactly 1 year since you glassed New Geneva," Marcus says, his voice carrying a weight that makes several of the alien soldiers shift uncomfortably. "Happy anniversary." Kether's memory banks access the date automatically. New Geneva, a human agricultural colony of 40,000 souls. The Dominion had given them the standard ultimatum: submit to imperial rule or face consequences. The humans had chosen defiance. The orbital bombardment had lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the planet's surface was molten glass, and every human on it was dead. "The humans chose their fate," Kether says. But there's something in his voice, not quite regret, but perhaps the faintest recognition that the destruction had been excessive. "As you choose yours now." Marcus's smile widens, and for the first time, Kether notices something unsettling about the human's expression. It's not the desperate grin of a man facing death. It's the satisfied smile of someone who's just played a winning hand in a game. His opponent doesn't even know they're playing. "Here's the thing about humans." "Kether," Marcus says, using the alien's name with casual familiarity that makes the warlord's soldiers tense. "We're really, really good at holding grudges. But we're even better at playing the long game." The device's pulsing intensifies, and Kether's tactical officer, a spindly creature with too many joints, calls out from his station. "Warlord, the energy signature is changing." It's not radiating the pattern of any known explosive device. Kether's 4 eyes swivel independently, 2 focusing on his officer while the other 2 remain fixed on Marcus. "Then what? It's a seed," Marcus interrupts, his grin now showing teeth stained with blood. "And it's about to make your beautiful farm world very, very Earth-like." The words hang in the air like a death sentence. Every species in the galaxy knew about Earth's atmosphere, the deadly oxygen concentrations that could kill most galactic life forms within minutes. It was one of the reasons humanity had been considered such an oddity when they'd first made contact. They breathed poison and called it air. "Impossible," Kether hisses, but his claws are already dancing over his wrist-mounted scanner, analyzing the device. "Terraforming takes centuries, millennia. You cannot simply—" "Oh, but we can," Marcus says, settling back against the bulkhead as much as his restraints allow. See, while you've been busy conquering worlds through brute force, we've been studying them. Learning from them. Every planet you've taken from us, every colony you've destroyed, we've been taking notes. The tactical officer's voice rises in pitch, a sign of distress in his species. Warlord, I'm detecting massive quantum fluctuations in the planet's core. The device appears to be communicating with something. Marcus nods approvingly. Smart boy. Yeah, it's talking to the nanobots we seeded into your irrigation system about 6 months ago. Microscopic little things, completely harmless until they receive the right signal. Kefver's blood runs cold. The Dominion's food production depended on precise atmospheric and soil conditions. If those were altered, you would poison an entire world? Kill billions? Poison? Marcus laughs, a sound devoid of humor. Warlord, you really don't understand humans at all, do you? We don't poison worlds. We heal them. Through the viewport, the first signs of change are already visible. The purple grain in the nearest field is shifting color. The stalks growing taller, their hue deepening to something closer to earth green. The geometric irrigation patterns are blurring as new waterways carve themselves into existence, following more organic, meandering paths. The nanobots aren't destroying your crops, Marcus explains, watching Kefver's growing horror with satisfaction. They're rewriting them, converting them into Earth-compatible flora. Your purple grain? In about 6 hours, it'll be producing oxygen at roughly the same rate as a terrestrial wheat field. Your soil bacteria? They're being upgraded to Earth-standard nitrogen fixation. The implications hit Kefver like a physical blow. Oxygen levels that would sustain human life would be toxic to his people. The Dominion had evolved in low-oxygen environments. Their respiratory systems designed for the thin atmospheres of their homeworlds. This is madness, he breathes, his voice barely audible through his translator. You'll make the world uninhabitable for any civilized species. Marcus's expression hardens. Civilized. You call what you did to New Geneva civilized? You turned 40,000 people into glass and vapor because they wouldn't kneel to your empire. They were given a choice. Submit or die isn't a choice. Marcus's voice cracks like a whip, silencing the bridge. It's extortion. But here's the beautiful thing about what's happening down there. It really is a choice. Your people can leave. Find new worlds. Adapt. Evolve. The same choices you never gave us. The countdown reads 43 minutes, 17 seconds. On the planet below, vast swaths of purple are giving way to green as the transformation accelerates. Atmospheric readings show oxygen levels climbing steadily. Besides, Marcus adds, his smile returning, who said anything about making it uninhabitable? It's going to be perfectly habitable. Just not for you. Kefver's mandibles click rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. What do you mean? Marcus nods toward the viewport again, where something new is happening. Bright streaks are beginning to appear in the upper atmosphere, not meteors, but something else. Something controlled. See those debris fields your ships have been ignoring for the past 3 days? The ones your sensors classified as wreckage from my destroyed escort vessels? Kefver's eyes widen as understanding dawns. No. Oh yes, Marcus says, his voice filled with quiet triumph. Those aren't debris fields, Warlord. They're drop pods. 3,000 colonists in cryosleep, just waiting for breathable air. The first pods begin their descent, their heat shields glowing like falling stars against the planet's changing sky. Kefver's tactical officer screams as orbital. Sensors detect the impossible. The device is somehow communicating with the planet's core, initiating massive atmospheric changes. The bridge's environmental systems begin wailing as oxygen levels spike exponentially throughout the ship's lower decks. You're insane. Kefver roars, spittle flying from his mandibles as he lunges toward Marcus. "This will kill your people too." Marcus shakes his head, still smiling as emergency klaxons wail throughout the Dominion flagship. The sound is almost musical to his ears, a symphony of alien panic. "Nope. See those debris fields your ships have been ignoring? Those aren't wreckage, they're drop pods. 3,000 colonists in cryosleep, just waiting for breathable air." The main display flickers to life, showing a tactical overview of the system. What the Dominion fleet had dismissed as scattered debris from destroyed human vessels now revealed itself as a carefully orchestrated deployment pattern. Hundreds of objects, each no larger than a shipping container, hung in perfect formation around the planet's orbital space. "Impossible," whispers Sub-Commander Vex High from the communications station, her 6 arms dancing across holographic controls. "Our sensors would have detected life signs, would they?" Marcus asks conversationally. "Tell me, how good are your sensors at detecting frozen human biosignatures when they're shielded by the same stealth technology we use on our deep space exploration vessels?" Kefver's blood runs cold. Human stealth technology was primitive by Dominion standards, but it was also completely unpredictable. Where other species developed cloaking through logical, mathematical principles, humans seemed to stumble onto solutions through pure stubborn experimentation. Dominion crew watches in horror as their environmental suits' alarms trigger the ship's air. Recyclers are failing as oxygen-rich atmosphere from the planet below begins seeping through microfractures in the hull. The transformation isn't just happening on the surface. It's affecting the entire planetary system. How? Kefver gasps, his breathing becoming labored as his suit's filters struggle to process the changing atmosphere. Terraforming takes millennia. The energy requirements alone would be impossible using your technology, Marcus agrees. But see, that's the difference between us. You conquer through force. We conquer through understanding. He nods toward the viewport where the planet's surface is now a patchwork of green and purple, the transformation spreading like wildfire. Every world you've taken from us, we studied first. Every ecosystem you destroyed, we mapped down to the molecular level. The tactical display updates, showing atmospheric readings that make Vex High's translator emit a sound like breaking glass. "Warlord, oxygen concentration is approaching 21% planetary average. At this rate, the atmosphere will be toxic to our species within 4 hours. And perfectly breathable for humans," Marcus adds helpfully. Amazing how that works out. Kefver aims his plasma rifle at the device, his hands shaking with rage and oxygen deprivation. "I'll destroy it." "Go ahead," Marcus says, his voice suddenly deadly serious. "But you should know that device isn't controlling the transformation anymore. It just started it. The nanobots are self-replicating now, powered by the planet's own geothermal energy. Shoot the seed, and all you'll do is scatter more nanobots into the atmosphere." The warlord's finger hovers over the trigger, but he doesn't fire. Through the viewport, they can see the first drop pods beginning their descent, their heat shields painting bright streaks across the alien sky. Each pod contains 50 humans in cryogenic suspension, along with everything needed to establish a permanent colony. "This is genocide," Kefver whispers, his voice barely audible through his emergency respirator. Marcus's smile finally fades. "No, genocide is what you did to New Geneva, and Kepler 186f, and Ross 128b, and the 47 other human colonies your empire has glassed over the past decade." His voice grows harder with each word. This is justice." Sub-Commander Vex High suddenly straightens at her station, her 6 arms moving frantically across the controls. "Warlord, I'm detecting quantum signatures from 11 other locations across the sector. The same energy pattern as the device." The blood drains from Kefver's face, what little color his species possessed fading to a sickly gray. 11? Want to guess which Dominion worlds they're heading for? Marcus asks, his smile returning with predatory intensity. Let's see. There's your primary agricultural world in the Vega system. Your industrial complex around Proxima Centauri. Oh, and my personal favorite, the resort world where your high command likes to vacation. The bridge falls silent except for the increasingly urgent environmental alarms. Through the ship's internal sensors, they can monitor the crew's growing distress as oxygen levels continue to climb. Dominion physiology simply wasn't designed for Earth-normal atmosphere. What sustained human life would slowly poison theirs. You're bluffing, Kethver says, but his voice lacks conviction. Marcus tilts his head toward the communications console. Vex High, would you mind opening a channel to the Dominion High Command? I think they'll want to hear this. The sub-commander looks to Kethver, who nods reluctantly. The main screen flickers, then resolves into the image of Supreme Admiral Vekmer, the Dominion's military leader. His four eyes are wide with barely controlled panic. Kethver, report. We're detecting massive atmospheric disturbances across 12 systems. Our agricultural worlds are becoming gardens, Marcus interrupts, somehow managing to lean into the camera's view despite his restraints. Hello, Admiral. Captain Marcus Rivera, formerly of the U.S. Defiance. I believe you remember my ship. You destroyed it about 6 hours ago. Vekmer's mandibles click rapidly. The human is responsible for this? Not just responsible, Marcus says cheerfully. Proud of it. See, Admiral, you made a mistake when you decided to wipe out human colonies. You assumed we'd respond like every other species you've conquered, with fear, with submission, with desperate military strikes that you could easily counter. The Admiral's image flickers as another ship's communication system fails. In the background, they can hear alarms and shouting in the Dominion's clicking language. But humans don't think like other species, Marcus continues. When you destroy our homes, we don't just mourn them. We study them. We learn from them. And then we make sure that what happened to them never happens to anyone else. On the tactical display, the 11 other seeds have reached their targets. Across the Dominion's most vital worlds, the same transformation is beginning. Agricultural centers, industrial complexes, military installations, all slowly converting to Earth-normal atmospheric conditions. The beauty of it, Marcus explains as Vekmer's image begins to break up, is that we're not destroying anything. We're improving it. Every world we touch becomes more fertile, more productive, more alive than it ever was under Dominion rule. Kethver slumps against a bulkhead, his breathing becoming increasingly labored. How long do we have? To evacuate? Marcus considers the question seriously. Your people can survive an Earth-normal atmosphere for maybe 6 hours with proper equipment. The transformation will be complete in 4, so not long. Through the viewport, the first human drop pods are touching down on the planet's surface. Automated systems begin deploying, establishing landing zones and atmospheric processors to accelerate the colonists' revival process. But here's the thing, Marcus adds, his voice softening slightly. This doesn't have to be the end for your people. It's just the end of your empire. The countdown on the device reads 31 minutes, 42 seconds, but it no longer matters. The transformation has taken on a life of its own, spreading across the planet like a green tide that nothing can stop. The bridge lights flicker as Kethver's crew begins collapsing, their respiratory systems overwhelmed by the oxygen-rich air now flooding their ship. Emergency bulkheads seal automatically as the atmospheric processors struggle to maintain life support. But it's a losing battle. Through the viewport, they watch the planet's surface explode with impossible green growth forests sprouting in real time. Rivers changing course, the very geology reshaping itself as if guided by some vast intelligence. This is genocide, Kethver gasps through his emergency respirator. His 4 eyes now bloodshot and struggling to focus. The device on the deck has gone silent, its pulsing light faded to a steady amber glow. But the damage is done. Marcus finally stops smiling, his expression growing serious as he watches Dominion soldiers stumble and fall around him. No, genocide is what you did to New Geneva. This? He nods as the first human drop pods begin landing on the transformed world below, their parachutes billowing like white flowers against the green landscape. This is evolution. Your empire conquered through destruction. We conquer through creation. Through the ship's internal communications, they can hear the chaos spreading throughout the fleet. 17 Dominion vessels, each carrying thousands of crew members, all slowly succumbing to an atmosphere that would be paradise for humans, but poison for them. Emergency evacuation protocols are failing as shuttle bays flood with oxygen-rich air. You don't understand, Kethver wheezes, his translator struggling to process his increasingly labored speech. The Dominion spans 300 systems. Billions of lives depend on our agricultural worlds. Without them, you'll have to learn to grow your own food, Marcus interrupts. Amazing concept. I know, self-sufficiency. It's what humans call not putting all your eggs in one basket. Sub-Commander Vex High, now collapsed over her console but still conscious, manages to activate the long-range sensors. The display shows a horrifying picture. Across 12 star systems, Dominion worlds are transforming. The industrial complex around Proxima Centauri is sprouting vast forests that are converting its toxic atmosphere into breathable air. The resort world of Kepler 452c, where the Dominion elite vacation, is becoming a garden paradise that will kill them if they try to visit. The nanobots, Vexi gasps. They're not just changing the atmosphere. They're rewriting the entire ecosystem, converting our infrastructure, our cities, into something better, Marcus finishes. Your factories are becoming vertical farms. Your strip mines are turning into lakes. Your military installations are growing into research centers. He pauses, watching as another wave of drop pods descends toward the planet. We're not destroying your civilization. We're upgrading it. On the surface below, the transformation is accelerating beyond all projections. What had been geometric agricultural fields are now flowing into organic patterns that follow the planet's natural contours. Rivers that had been channeled into straight irrigation canals are meandering again, creating wetlands and deltas that teem with new life. The massive harvester ships, each the size of a city block, have stopped moving as their mechanical systems are slowly converted into something that looks almost biological. Impossible, Kethver breathes, his voice barely audible. The energy requirements, the complexity of the programming, would be impossible for any single species, Marcus agrees. But here's what your empire never understood about humans: we don't work alone. Every world you destroyed, every colony you glassed, we learned something new. New Geneva taught us about atmospheric conversion. Kepler 186f showed us how to accelerate plant growth. Ross 128b gave us the key to geological manipulation. The tactical display updates again, showing the arrival of something that makes Kethver's remaining strength drain away entirely. Human ships, not the primitive vessels the Dominion had been fighting, but something new. Sleek, organic-looking craft that seemed to grow rather than fly through space. The Gardner fleet, Marcus explains, noting the alien's expression. Took us 3 years to build them, using technology we developed from studying every world you took from us. Each ship is essentially a mobile ecosystem, capable of seeding new worlds or healing damaged ones. The lead vessel, a massive bioship that resembles a flowering tree more than a spacecraft, moves into orbit around the transforming planet. Smaller craft detach from it like seeds, each one carrying specialized equipment and personnel to accelerate the colonization process. You see, Kethver, Marcus continues, his voice taking on an almost gentle tone, Your empire made a fundamental error. You assumed that because humans were new to the galactic stage, we were primitive, weak, easy to conquer. He watches as the bioships begin deploying atmospheric processors that look more like giant flowers than machines. But we've been terraforming worlds for centuries. We just called it gardening through the ship's communication system. They can hear Supreme Admiral Vekmer's increasingly desperate transmissions. The Dominion High Command is in chaos as reports flood in from across their territory. Agricultural worlds are becoming uninhabitable for Dominion species, but perfect for humans. Industrial centers are transforming into garden cities. Military installations are growing into research facilities focused on ecological restoration. The other seeds, Kethver manages to ask, how many more? Marcus's expression grows thoughtful. Well, that depends. See, those 11 seeds I mentioned? They were just the first wave. We've been preparing for this day for 3 years, ever since New Geneva. Every human ship that entered Dominion space carried seeds. Every diplomatic mission, every trade convoy, every refugee transport. The implications hit Kethver like a physical blow. Hundreds of human vessels had passed through Dominion space over the past 3 years. If each one had been carrying terraforming seeds, how many worlds? He whispers. All of them, Marcus says simply. Every Dominion world that ever hosted a human presence. Every planet where you allowed us to land, to trade, to exist. His smile returns, but it's different now, not cruel, but sad. We tried to coexist peacefully. We really did. But you made it clear that wasn't an option. On the planet below, the first human colonists are emerging from their drop pods. They move with the easy confidence of people coming home, breathing deeply of air that would kill the planet's former inhabitants. Automated systems are already establishing the infrastructure for a permanent settlement. But it's infrastructure that grows rather than being built living buildings that photosynthesize. Transportation networks that follow the patterns of root systems. Power grids that harness the planet's own biological processes. This doesn't have to be the end, Marcus says, his voice softening as he watches Kethver struggle to breathe. Your people can adapt. Find new worlds. Learn to live differently. He pauses, considering his words carefully. Or you can learn to live with us. Kethver's eyes widen in surprise. What? The transformation isn't irreversible, Marcus explains. The nanobots can be programmed to create hybrid atmosphere zones where both species can survive. Your people just have to be willing to share. Through the viewport, they can see human colonists working alongside automated systems to establish what looks like a research station. But as they watch, some of the equipment begins adapting itself, creating sealed environments that could support Dominion physiology. The choice is yours, Marcus says as Kethver's fleet begins its retreat, leaving behind a world that will be uninhabitable for his species within hours, but perfect for humans within days. You can keep fighting, keep trying to conquer through force. Or you can learn what humans figured out a long time ago, that the universe is big enough for everyone. As long as everyone is willing to grow. As the Dominion ships flee, Marcus watches the first human settlement take root on the transformed world below. Across the galaxy, 11 more seeds continue their countdown, and the human diaspora prepares to reclaim the stars one garden world at a time. The age of the Dominion is ending. The age of the gardeners has begun.